The survivor later described a period of near total silence. No wind, no movement, just white space. He continued moving downhill, guided more by instinct than direction. He rationed his supplies carefully. He did not attempt to return. He believed that going back would be a mistake. This belief never wavered, even when exhaustion set in, even when night returned. He sheltered where he could, and he waited. When the group failed to return on schedule, authorities were notified. Initial delay was unavoidable. Weather grounded aircraft. Ground teams could not safely deploy. By the time conditions improved, nearly 48 hours had passed. Search teams entered the area with limited expectations. They were looking for signs, footprints, equipment, anything. What they did not expect was to find someone alive. Search teams moved carefully. They spread out in short intervals, calling out periodically. There was no response at first. Then, near a rock face partially shielded from the wind, someone saw movement, a figure. At first, they assumed it was an illusion. Then the figure raised an arm. They reached him slowly. He was alive. He was conscious, dehydrated, cold, but responsive. He knew his name. He knew the date. He was not delirious. This detail would later matter more than anything else. They asked him where the others were. He did not answer immediately. Instead, he asked a question of his own. "Did you find them?" The rescuers said no. They told him they were still searching. That's when his expression changed. Not fear, not relief, something closer to concern. He shifted slightly, then spoke. Slowly, clearly, "Don't go back." At first, they thought they misheard him. They asked him to repeat it. He did. "Don't go back for them." There was no panic in his voice, no emotion at all. They assumed shock. They reassured him and told him they were going anyway. That's when he added something else, something quieter. "They shouldn't be found." Rescue teams are trained to assess mental state. They look for confusion, disorientation, hallucination. He showed none. He answered every question directly. He did not contradict himself. When asked why, he gave no explanation, only repetition. They're better where they are. Medical staff later confirmed there was no sign of head injury, no indication of delirium, nothing that explained his certainty. Despite his warning, search efforts continued. The survivor was evacuated. As he was carried away, he watched silently. He did not protest. He did not struggle. But before losing sight of the mountain, he said one final thing to a rescuer walking beside him. "You won't like what you find." Search teams returned to the area the following morning. They followed what remained of the trail. What they found did not resemble a disaster. There were no signs of flight, no chaos, no indication that anyone had tried to escape. They were together, sheltered, and they had stayed. The others were found less than a kilometer from the original campsite. Not scattered, not concealed. Together. They were positioned close enough to share body heat, their backs partially shielded from the wind by terrain. This detail stood out immediately. They had chosen a location that offered protection. They had not wandered aimlessly. They had not fled downhill. They had not attempted to return to camp. They had stopped and stayed. Their supplies were intact. Food remained uneaten, emergency gear untouched, radios powered off. There was no sign they had attempted to signal for help, no flares, no emergency broadcasts. Investigators noted something else. There were no clear signs of panic, no disturbed snow suggesting frantic movement, no evidence of a struggle. If they had been afraid, they had not shown it in their final actions. The official cause of death was exposure, hypothermia, a conclusion that, on paper, explained everything, but the details complicated it. Conditions were harsh, but survivable. They had shelter options, they had supplies, they had time. Investigators could not determine why no attempt was made to relocate, why no distress signals were sent, why 3 capable adults would remain seated together as conditions worsened. These questions were noted, but not answered. The case was eventually closed, with no further action recommended. The survivor was interviewed several times. His statements were consistent. He did not describe an attack. He did not describe hallucinations. He did not describe anything supernatural. When asked why he left, he said staying felt wrong. When asked why the others stayed, he said they believed they were safe. When asked why he warned rescuers, he paused, then said, "They made a choice." He refused to clarify further. He never attempted to visit the site again. He never participated in public discussions. He never sought explanations. And he never changed his words. There are no photographs of their final moments. No recordings. No final messages. Only what was found afterward. Investigators were left with facts that did not contradict one another, but also did not explain one another. Why did one man feel compelled to leave while the others stayed? Why did fear affect only one? And why, after surviving, did he want the search to stop? The case offers no conclusions, only behaviors and silence. The survivor never returned to the mountains. He never asked what the others experienced. He never tried to understand their final decision. He simply accepted it. And that may be the most unsettling detail of all. Because when asked years later if he wished rescuers had listened to him, he answered, yes. This case does not end with violence. It ends with restraint. With a man who survived and believed survival was not the point.